Hey guys, today's story is about the wizard again. This time it's part 3. If you haven't watched part 1 or 2 and you want to, I would suggest you go check them out so you have some context. And if you did, then here's a refresher on the players and how they fit in. We have the wizard, who was the problem player, the druid, who is a person that the OP talked to before talking to the wizard, the bard, who is the druid's husband and usually the most chaotic party member, the barbarian, who the OP also got advice from before talking to the wizard, and the paladin, who was the least invested player in RP, who has also had historically the most problems with the wizard. And then lastly, the cleric. Both the player and the character are quiet and non-confrontational, but we're unhappy with the situation. So without further ado, let's get started. So where we left off, I told Wizard he could post in the Discord channel to allow the other players to RP reactions to his actions and decide a course of action in character. I set the stage and forced myself to be hands-off, despite having an opinion on what they should do. The wizard started by describing how sad his character looked, and said in character,
I guess I screwed up pretty bad.
I instantly got a bad feeling as a sudden realization dawned on me. He wanted to tell his story. He wanted to make them feel bad for him. But I said nothing. I had left this in the players' hands, and I wasn't going to go back on that. I texted the other players to tell them what was happening, and the paladin flat out said that he had nothing to say in character. Despite having suggested to me earlier that they have an in-character intervention, the barbarian said nothing. Tune in for the sequel when a DM murders her sister over a lack of replies. But Druid and Bard both said they would say something. The cleric said he had to think of what to say. I thought and hoped that the Druid would be the first to reply. She was injured and angry, and I knew she'd say what she meant without being cruel. But she told me privately that Bard had things he wanted to say, and she wanted to let him. So it was Bard who stepped up first. Bard RP'd looking around to the rest of the group and saying, "Why did we come here?" Good, I thought. He's making sure everyone gets to speak up. But no one did. And I guess he didn't want to wait for them to be free, so he continued. And that's when I got confused. Bard was very friendly and forgiving in character, despite expressing anger during the events that he had to stop the wizard from killing the kids, and that his wife, married in-game and out, got hurt by a party member. He started talking about how we all make mistakes, prompting Wizard to launch into the sob story that I had already realized was coming. Wizard talked about how he was trained as a child soldier and forced to learn magic by his leaders. He hated it and never fit in. Then a fight went badly and he ran away, ending up on the material plane. He's an Earth Genasi who grew up on the plane of Earth, but it wasn't relevant to the story until now. Being at school in a structured environment again made him panic and overreact. Now, if you're thinking what I was, it's probably something along the lines of, what the heck? This has nothing to do with what he did. Why does he think out of character that the tenuous connection between hating his training and being in a school fits with his in-character actions? If this is supposed to be PTSD or something, it's remarkably badly done. And then you might realize, like I did, that this was never about the story making sense. It was about getting to tell it in the first place. Remember what he said in part 2 about how he puts so much work into his characters, but no one finds them interesting? I realized that this was him forcing his interesting backstory on the others without having to do any reasonable interactions with them for it to come up. Well, I couldn't step in and stop the bard from being forgiving. That was his choice, even if it confused me. Then the bard said something strange.
We all need to work together to fight this demon.
Now I stepped in and left a DM note along the lines of, "The demon is already dead." This is after combat, when the demon is defeated and you're all injured. Bard realized his mistake. he hadn't actually read everything before launching into a dramatic scene, a recurring theme with him. He explained his mistake and paused the RP while he sorted things out from this new perspective. The wizard kept going anyway, though, RPing his character's desperation to make things right. It was a long pause during which there was more out-of-character discussion between a lot of people separately. I admitted to the druid that I felt manipulated into giving the wizard exactly what he wanted, a chance to infodump his backstory, to get the party to feel sorry for his character, and to get the players to compliment his oh so wonderful and interesting character. But we both felt like crappy friends for distrusting our friend enough to think he'd manipulate us. Finally, the bard got back into the channel. He explained that he wanted a rewind, and that his character is more concerned with making sure his wife is okay than with confronting the wizard. However, his character is willing to listen to the wizard and to work through things. At this point, I suggested nixing the RP because it had only caused confusion. I said, everyone just do what the bard did, and share your thoughts in and out of character. You don't have to act it out. This was a twofold solution on my part. I hoped it would keep things simple, as well as preventing Wizard from further info dumping and hijacking a conversation that was supposed to be the other characters getting a chance to confront him. The druid posted and said that her character is willing to forgive if it never happens again. Out of character, she said that the party needs to work together, and if the wizard was going for some PTSD RP or something, he should have talked to the party out of character first, so that they would have a plan to stop him in character from doing things that would cause significant harm, and forever after the vibe. Moving forward, if the players ask out of combat for him to stop doing something for this reason, he needs to respect that. Finally, the cleric posted. He hadn't wanted to be the only one being critical of Wizard after seeing Bard's posts, but now he was willing to speak up. In character, he was disgusted by the wizard's actions. He didn't see it as a mistake or an overreaction. The wizard used spells and used them deliberately. Those spells were prepared and the wizard knew exactly what they did. He didn't want to force the wizard out of the party, but a tragic backstory doesn't make things okay. Out of character, he thought it sucked that the wizard chose the spells he chose when he could have gotten the point across less destructively. As I expected by this point, the paladin and the barbarian said nothing. I don't think the barbarian even logged into Discord to check on the exchange, but I let my players make their choices, and abstaining was their choice to make. Well guys, that's the end of part 3. There is still one more part to go on this, and I have to say, of all the interesting backstories that the wizard could come up with, it is also basically the backstory that every edgy problem player has had since the dawn of time. But in any case, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.